Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and friends. Welcome to a new show and tell video. As you can see, this is a re-unboxing of a Retron 5 by Hyperkin, which is another retro console I got this year, 2024. Uh, this is a particular concept of retro console. Basically, it's your usual mini PC, RetroPie, whatever, in a large case with different cartridge slots, and you have controller ports. Basically, the idea is this console lets you play your old games in original media and in cartridges, and you can use your own controllers and such. So this is different. This is a different concept than the Blaze Evercade. Okay, and it's the solution to a different problem, which is I still have my old 8-bit, 16-bit console games in the original media and cartridge, but my console is not working, or I'm not going to get a rescaler or several cables to plug it to a new console. Basically, what it does is you put your cartridges in the correct slot, you use whatever controller you want, and this has an HDMI output at 720, so you can connect it to any modern TV set, and it plays just fine. Okay, then since it is software emulated, you have your usual filters and stuff like that. Okay, and let's check what's inside, and then we'll talk about it some more. Okay, as you can see already, well, I actually already used this console a few times, even for streams. And as you can see, Retron 5, there are several Retron models made by Hyperkin. There's the standalone NES version, Mega Drive Genesis version, the SNES Super Nintendo version. There's even a Game Boy Color version. This one lets you play games from 5 different consoles, which is not exactly 5, but get Game Boy Advance, Super NES, NES, Genesis Mega Drive, and Famicom, which is the Japanese version of the NES, which uses different cartridges. Okay, it's slightly different. Also, if I remember, in the Super NES slot is large enough to fit both USA cartridges than European Japanese. I don't have any Japanese cartridge, so I'm not 100% sure they work fine. They should though. Also, it works with Mega Drive Genesis adapter to Master System, so you can play Master System games if you have the adapter. And I think regular Game Boy games, there's an adapter to you that uses the Game Boy Advance port, and you can play your old Game Boy Color games. So it's actually up to like 7 or 8 different consoles if you count the Famicom and NES as different ones. Okay, so let's get started. Now, one word before proceeding any further though. I got this one from a shop in Turin, specialized in retro console stuff, and they had it shipped from the US. This is from the US. Okay, As far as I know, there's no official importer in Europe of these game of this. So, long story short, they get quite expensive. So the price tag in the US is should be about $150, I think. This is the special edition, by the way. Unfortunately, it was the only one available at the moment. I don't like the color scheme, but it comes with an extra controller, Super Nintendo Super NES replica. Okay, um, so in the end, I paid over 200 euros for this. Okay, because of shipping from the US, stuff like that. So it's not cheap. It's not cheap here in Europe. Okay, it's definitely cheap back in the US. So what we have here, the usual manuals, which is quite plump and full of information. I don't recall if I think there's Italian too. No. No. So there's English, Français, Espanol, and Deutsch. No Italian, of course. Okay, this is what we expect to find. So the console, the wireless controller, which comes in with every version of this console, the Scout Premium controller, which is the Super Nintendo SNES replica. They are both good and bad. They have some good things, some bad things. I prefer the replica, the wild replica. Still, doesn't feel like it's the original SNES controller feels better, if you ask me. But then you have the AC adapter with different plugs, which is good because the Evercade doesn't come with anything like that. It also comes with the controller charge cable for the wireless controller, which is actually a USB, a micro USB cable, nothing fancy, and another HDMI cable. Okay, so you get everything except for an SD card, which is an optional thing to update and save stuff. Okay, stuff, not just stats, stuff. Okay, so the main body of the console. Okay, so here it's large, quite large. I think it's a little bit larger than longer, I'd say, than European SNES, Super Nintendo console. I think that it's Super Nintendo is maybe a little bit more chunkier but shorter. And actually, the real console is basically here. This is just a weird thing where you can put a tray where you can put your wireless controller. I don't really like it, to be fair. Now, color aside, I think the original version is black with light gray and purple trims. Okay, which is, I think it's quite fine. I think there was a light gray limited edition too, and then this special edition, which I don't know why they went with this what is called vaporwave, synthwave, stuff like that. That someone decided to associate with 80s and 90s. I don't recall anything like this in my childhood. Probably it's just an American thing. I'm not sure. This is gloss. So you have the 4 ports. So you have the Genesis Mega Drive port, which unfortunately I'm not sure it's large enough to fit the Japanese cartridges. You need an adapter to do that. I still have my old adapter in my old Mega Drive 2, and the slot itself, it feels maybe a little bit too snuggly. It needs to be loosened up a bit. It works fine. Okay, I tested with several cartridges. Works fine. This is a Super NES slots, and I have only one SNES NTSC American game, which is Super Street Fighter 2, and it works fine. And also my European games work fine. I assume the Japanese games, the shape of the Japanese cartridges is the same of the European ones. I assume it will just work fine. I don't have any NES or Famicom games yet. Okay. They're getting quite rare to find collectibles if you want just a cartridge, okay, with just a plastic sleeve. Okay, there's plenty of those on eBay, but if you want a collectible piece, and they can get expensive. Then you have one on each side, two sets of controllers. So you have the Super Nintendo controller port, the NES Nintendo, and the Mega Drive Genesis port. Okay, I tested it with my old controllers and they work just fine. It's just the controller feel a bit odd. As you can see, these are my original controllers. This is my poor Mega Drive 2 controller from 1994. Yeah, it needs some TLC. It works. Okay, it works. This has seen a lot. Okay, it needs to be cleaned. The rubber mask inside was already giving up a little bit, and yeah, but I plugged it and it works. I also have, as mentioned, my Super Nintendo controller original 1994 as well. Yeah, needs to be cleaned. I tried this one. Okay, one thing that really boggled me is the length of the cable, which compared to nowadays control, I think it's like 2 yards, 1.8 meters, and compared to current standard, which usually like 3 meters, the replica is 3 meters, if 2.5 or 3 meters. They're rather short. Okay, I found myself, especially the Mega Drive one, to be rather short, but they work very good, very nice. So this is the main body. It's oddly light. Okay, it feels empty. Not this part, with the part. I don't know. I think this is just empty. This is just for sure. They could have just shortened the chassis and call it there. It feels a little bit cheap. Okay, we have the power cord, the GBA slot here, and here we have the AC adapter port, the micro USB. This is the reset button, which has a sticker on it so you don't press it by accident, the HDMI output, and the SD card memory. The SD card is used to store data information. It has a memory, a flash memory integrated, which I don't recall what's the size, but it's more than enough. So when you play games, you can, I don't recall actually if it just load the ROM in the RAM, or you can even save it on the SD card. Then the SD card is used, as I said, for updates. There's a very complex system to update the system. Basically you select update from the dashboard, and it creates a file and saves it in the on the SD card. Then you put your SD card in your computer, and you go to the Hyperkin website. I think you upload the file that it was saved by the console on the SD card, and you get another file back, which is the update. Yeah, a little bit cumbersome because it doesn't have wireless integration. No wireless whatsoever, which is, given the price, you know, you would expect it. The Evercade has wireless integration. It doesn't even have a LAN, nothing. Anyway, let's continue. We have your usual HDMI cable, nothing to see here. The AC adapter, I already used the European plug, but there's also this should be the UK plug, and the last two, one is the US and the other one is, I think, Japan. Don't recall. Well, I had what I needed, so I'm good. Okay, cable is not very long, to be honest. And then you have finally the two controllers. Okay, so this is the standard wireless controller that you get with every RetroN 5. So you need to charge it. It's extremely lightweight. Okay, as you can see, it would sit here. There you go. Okay, that's it. So instead of the D-pad, it has this hybrid analog digital thing with macro switches. I don't know what it is. It's not great. Okay, this is the weakest point of the controller. Okay, this stick here. I hear it's quite fragile. It breaks easily. Then you have a plethora of buttons. You even have shoulder buttons. Very clicky. I could make an ASMR video just with this controller. And then you have these 6 buttons. You can go to the options and tell for each different console which buttons are you using. Okay, for instance, I think the default for Mega Drive Genesis games, it should be ABC. Okay, for Super Nintendo SNES, you should have, what is it, ABYX or BAYX, and of course the shoulder buttons and stuff like that. Then you have Start and Select. Of course, Start and Select work for the Nintendo consoles. For the Genesis, you only use Start. Then you have the Home button. Home button, it's you can have even these are, instead of having the triggers, okay, of the, well, you get the idea. The home button gets you to the emulator dashboard, and so you can access to quick save, quick load, and the usual emulator stuff. Okay, these are the lights that tells you you can link up to 4 controllers. Okay, and this tells you which controller is which, and that's it. Okay, these are not this is not a button, this is just for show. I think it is, I don't know. Yeah, now I'm going to show you the replica. Okay, and side to side comparison. As you can see, this size is basically the same. It's just the shape is just enough different, that little bit different with this part here, so that it's legally distinct. Okay, even the d-pad feels very similar. It doesn't The run isn't great. It's I don't know, feels less precise, especially pressing diagonals. Okay, diagonals are a bit hard. I don't know if it's because it's new and it needs to be uh, loosened up. I don't know, but as you can see, there's no home buttons in any original controller. There's no home button. So to access the home button, you have to press this weird combination of buttons, such as down and start or down and select. It's not the most immediate thing, okay, especially if you want to quick save something quickly, okay. But yeah, you can basically access all the buttons already present here on the basic wireless controller by pressing weird combination. I think you can even configure your own combinations, and that's it. This is it. Okay, this is the Retro and 5, which I tried with Super Nintendo and Mega Drive games. It worked. I had an issue with Mega Drive game, King's Bounty, which the console froze and boot up after about 40 minutes. I don't know if it's because it's an Electronic Arts cartridge, so it is European US hybrid. Some Mega Drive cartridges are hybrid cartridges and work on both 50 hertz and 60 hertz consoles, so North American and European, while others are not. The Mega Drive ones are for European market, so they go at what is it, 50 hertz, and the Genesis ones, okay, go actually are suitable for North American systems. Maybe I switched over 50 and 60 hertz. This is something that I found out while playing games on my Mega Drive games, on Mega Drive games that I know of on emulators. Okay, case in point is EA Hockey. Okay, I made a couple of videos about it on my main channel, Rico the Rooster. You might want to check it, and you can hear the difference in the music and sound when playing a mismatch game. So a game for the Genesis on the Mega Drive or vice versa. That's it. I don't think there's much to add about it. I think I said pretty much what I wanted to say. It's the solution to a very specific problem. Okay, my Super Nintendo and especially Mega Drive 2 are quite in bad condition. I'm not sure I want to turn them on. I'm afraid that something might happen. And if that's the case, and you have collections of different consoles, this is a good solution. And you still want to play with the original games, plus you get some emulation benefits, such as save slots and stuff like that. Hyperkin is not the only one who made consoles such as this one. There's another company, Retrobit. Is it Retrobit? I think it's Retrobit. That made some similar consoles, but stopped at Super Nintendo, Nintendo, Mega Drive, hybrid console, so 3 consoles in one, which came out initially with an analog video output, and then came out, I think it's called the Trio, and then came out the Trio HD, which actually had the HDMI output. But I think they stopped right away in 2019, 2018. You can still find new old stock consoles on eBay. But I think Hyperkin is one that went a little bit further with this one. There are also there's as I said, several um, single console models, and also that I think there's a RetroN 3 as well with Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, and NES and stuff like that. Am I happy with it? Well, kinda. I wish it was cheaper for us in Europe. Okay, it does its job well. Okay, and actually, the only thing that's better than this is the Polymega, which is about $700. I think it starts at 50. Sorry, $450 for the CD-ROM unit, basic unit with the CD-ROM to play Saturn, Dreamcast, PS1 games. If you want the modules to play cartridges from the 8-bit, 16-bit era, it gets up to 750. But that's it's better. Polymega, from what I heard, it is better. It is more powerful. It is also more expensive, a lot more expensive. So if you just want to play your 16-bit cartridges, okay, I think this is good enough. Okay, if you can get a deal and get it for a reasonable price, okay, go ahead. The design is what it is. Okay, I hoped for a more sober one, but that's it. Anyway, if you have any question, comments, feel free to drop a line in the section down below. And if you would like to see more stuff like this, don't forget you can subscribe to this channel so you can get a notification about the new videos. I don't upload regularly on this channel, so there's a very low risk that you get flooded with notifications, and yeah, I see no harm in subscribing. It surely helps. And with that, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Until then, take care and goodbye.